Right. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. My name is YAH, and I'm with my brother Kased Yasharal. How you doing, brother? Shabbat Shalom.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Yeah, everything's going good. Praise Yah. Thankful
Praise
for
Yah.
another Shabbat.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Same here as well. We're definitely thankful for another Shabbat. As many of us that watched this solar eclipse that passed on the 8th, the world did not end. And we didn't have 3 days of darkness. A lot of false prophets was talking about the world going to end. You had one lady killed herself, her partner, and one of her children. So a lot of crazies out here, a lot of people getting sent off with these prophecies. And, that's what happens when you try to become a prophet without being a prophet of Yah. Anytime it comes to prophecy and you hear all these things, the best thing to do is to stick with the scripts. What do the scripts tell you is going to happen? Definitely heed to the warnings, because a solar eclipse is definitely a warning. But just keep in mind that every time, we have these events of anything, those same prophecies always pop back up. 3 days of darkness, the internet going out, the end of the world. And we know so much has to happen. And we also know that the end of the age is coming, not the end of the world, the end of the age, just like the Ice Age, the Stone Age, the Iron Age, all this stuff. We're going to move into a different age. But again, we are Savior Word of Yah, Tabernacles of the Congregation of Yisrael. You can reach out to us on our website at saviorwordofyah.org. You can click on our site. We got a lot of different ministerial services that we offer, anywhere from counseling to immersions, weddings. We have Hebrew businesses, work from home opportunities. We got a lot of different things available to you on our website. Most definitely check it out. And, before we get started, we're going to get into some of the current events. We're doing the topic today, as you can see on the screen, is covenant and marriage. So we want to talk about, what is a covenant, and understand the covenant that was made between Yah and us, and understanding that this covenant is also given in marriage. The covenant between the Most High Yah and the children of Israel is likened unto a marriage, and there's rules around that marriage, and it's causing a lot of problems in our community and in our families because of the marriage. The family structure is destroyed, and a lot of that is destroyed because we allowing the world to define what a covenant is and how long a covenant is. And from the beginning, it was not so. So we're going to get into that. But before we do that, I want to talk about something real quick that kind of bothered me a little bit. Just this past week, we had a boxing match with a transgender boxer. All right. So this transgender boxer was knocked out in 21 seconds. So we're going to talk about this a little bit. All right. So let me go.
A quick question.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds crazy, but what was it? Was it like a female to male or male to female? Like what was the situation?
Yeah, I don't know how those terms work, but it was a man who was not born a man. So I guess a female that's posing as a man.
Right. Okay.
They have done some surgery and got some things done to be considered legally a man. But yeah, that's the situation. So it's a woman basically trying to be a man and paying for surgery and hormones and so forth and so on. So the boxer went in there, I don't even want to go down the line of jokes because it's the Shabbat. We ain't gonna go there. But it was just a lot of jokes around this. But the seriousness of this is that this is how our society is. It's allowing our women to be in situations they should not be. This woman should have been protected. She was knocked out in 21 seconds. So I want you to just do the math here. How long is the countdown in a fight?
It's about 10 seconds, right?
So the countdown is 10 seconds. You got knocked out in 21 seconds. So it means you really got knocked out in 11 seconds. So, and that's nothing to celebrate or to, feel proud of for a man abusing a woman. But where was the protection? How is this legal for a woman to step in a combat sport with a man? It's not right. And just want to cover that real quick. And then on top of that, you got the pride involved in this. So let's pull this up real quick. All right, so here we have, put it on the screen, right? Transgender boxer releases defiant statement after being knocked out in 21 seconds. So this is the shim right here, or I don't know what to say. Him, her, them, whatever they want to. I just try not to get Salaki. I'm just trying not to get blocked off the internet. Whatever. The transgender boxer Patricio Manuel has released a statement confirming that, it says he here, will continue boxing despite suffering the first loss of his professional career. So Manuel was a 5-time U.S. woman amateur champion before undergoing gender reassignment surgery nearly a decade ago and suffered a surprise defeat to Joshua Brian Reyes. Now, I don't understand. How is this a surprise, for one? How bad do you have to be considered an underdog as a male fighter against a woman? So let's get into the scripts on this. This should have never happened at all. All right, so we're going to go over something real quick. Go ahead and pull up Deuteronomy 22, Devarim chapter 22. Let's read that real quick.
All right, which verse?
All right, let me pull up the scripts. We're going to go to Deuteronomy 22 and go to verse 5.
Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 5. The woman shall not wear that which pertains unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. For all that do so are abomination unto Yahweh, your Elohim.
Okay, so an abomination, the equivalent of abomination is like you standing next to something that is just so utterly repulsive you want to throw up. For example, like if a dog just came, sat right next to you, next to your foot, and just released himself right there next to your foot while you sitting eating food. That would be kind of a good simile, or I guess a metaphor for abomination. So this is how repulsive it is to the Most High when it says a woman shall not wear that which pertains unto a man. Now, what a lot of campers do is they take that and say, oh, you can't wear pants because pants are for a man. Well, that's not what that's talking about. Now, a woman should be wearing, modestly dressed apparel, but I'm pretty sure they weren't wearing denim jeans back in the times of Deuteronomy. But regardless, that's neither here nor there. Let's look at the word for pertaineth. So the Hebrew word that they use for pertaineth is very particular so that you don't be confused. It's H3627. H3627. All right. So H3627 is Kelee. Kelee. Kelee or Keliy. And that's something prepared that is an apparatus, utensil, dress, vessel, or weapon, armor. All right. So this is talking about military weaponry, male armory type situation. And why would it be an abomination for a woman to wear this? Well, heavens forbid we are at war with another nation and another man sees a woman dressed like a man and tries to have combat with her. She's not even supposed to look like a warrior or supposed to have any type of warlike manner of material on. That's what they're talking about, because it is unlawful for our women to go to war. And that is clue number one, that the people that are now inhabiting our land in Israel are not us, because they make it by law that women of the age of 18 have to go into the military, have to carry weapons, have to do those type of things. That's against Torah. Now, here's the other side. Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. So this is letting you know that garment and warrior apparel are two different words. One is kili, the other one is garment. When it's talking about a man, is simla, H8071. And that's assuming the shape of the object beneath a dress, especially a mantle. So this is talking about a form-fitting dress type situation. I should not see your calves in your jeans. We shouldn't see all your print in the front. We shouldn't, it should have some looseness to it. It shouldn't be so tight that I can see the vein on your thigh. That's wrong. That's women. Women wear shape-fitting things. So it's saying for a woman, you're not supposed to wear warrior apparel. For a man, you're not supposed to wear shape-fitting garments that are made for women. Now, how shapely, I'm not going to go into all that. But the bottom line is, our women dress a certain way that is feminine, and the men are soldiers. We dress masculine. So how do you get to the point where you putting a whole flesh on your body that belongs to a woman? So you have to first be cross-dressing and trying to wear lipstick and doing all this stuff before you actually go and try to be a woman. So we had laws in place for these things. And this is what happens when the home structure is destroyed, when we lose the gender roles for our men and our women, where we don't have an understanding. And that's why these laws were put in place, to protect our women, because this woman who got in the ring and got taken advantage of by this man should have been protected. The men of Israel are supposed to say, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Or the men of that person's nation supposed to say, look, what are you doing? You can't do this. But we are in a strange land, and now this is what we're dealing with. And that leads us to the next thing we're going to talk about. So with all that, again, talking about covenant and marriage, we got a very egregious situation going on amongst our assemblies. We have a very large assembly of so-called Hebrews, because I guess they're Hebrews. They're claiming to be Hebrews, but there are brothers in flesh. And we have the leader who's being accused of adultery, of literally taking the wife of one of his congregants who was married, legally married and spiritually married. And the brothers called him out, and they showed video footage of the pastor, of this large assembly, acknowledging on camera with his new wife, if you consider that a wife, the adulterous wife, and acknowledging the other husband. Now, when that video happened, I don't know. I'm assuming it's before all of this happened, but either way, there was acknowledgement. And so, from what we're hearing through the members of the congregation or ex-members, is that the brother was kicked out. The brother was kicked out, and the wife was taken. So this is something, again, that the Most High holds very egregious, beyond abomination. You have abomination that just really angers the Most High. And then you have things that come with death penalty. And that's what we have in this situation. When you deal with adultery, YAH's judgment, which is a righteous judgment, is death penalty. Now, this is something that's very hard to repent from, because once you've committed adultery, it's like once you committed murder, it's done. You can't undo that. But we're in the grace and mercy, and we pray for all the families involved that situation is dealt with righteously and in order, and that there's some kind of restoration. But being that we are in a stranger's land, we can't enforce laws. We can't, Babylon say you can do whatever you want. They put an ad in the newspaper and got a divorce, an uncontested divorce. So according to Babylon's law, just like in Sodom and Gomorrah, they had their own laws. You can do whatever you want. But we as Hebrews, we have to govern ourselves accordingly, and we have to make sure that we deal with things righteously and decently. Because when we commit those type of transgressions in amongst our people, it affects everybody. We can't just say, oh, that's that other brother's house, oh, they ain't got nothing to do with me. It affects all of us. We are not here in this nation because, all of us were wicked. We here because our ancestors transgressed, and it affects everybody. So let's go ahead and start up the class. We're going to open up in Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 9. And again, this is an open forum. This class, we're going to focus on covenant and marriage. We're not going to focus so much on, the debating topics as far as multiple wives, and because this pastor had multiple wives. He had several wives, and then he took an unlawful wife on top of that. And we know the law pertaining to that. But the problem with these multiple marriages is you can't keep a single covenant. How are you going to keep multiple covenants? You can't keep covenant with the Most High. How are you going to keep covenant in a marriage? And if you can't keep covenant in a single marriage, how are you going to have multiple marriages in one? So to solve a lot of these problems, we got to understand covenant. Let's get back to covenant, understanding that, and build from there, hopefully into successful marriages. And then maybe when we have successful marriages, we'll have our own autonomy in the land again. And then maybe we'll have an environment that could possibly be conducive to multiple wives. But ultimately, that's not what our discussion today. Our discussion is on covenant. All right. So we're going to open this up again. We're starting this in Genesis chapter 9, Bereshit chapter 9. And we're going to read verses 9 through 17, and we're going to look at the Noahic covenant.
Genesis chapter 9 and verse 10. In verse 9. And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And Elohim said, this is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow.
So what we see here, we're going to look over a few definitions. So we see here, verse 9, I will establish my covenant. So let's look at that word covenant. All right, so the word for covenant is berith, H1285. Berith, it's from H1262 in the sense of cutting, like a compact, because made by passing between pieces of flesh. And if you look at that root word, it's bara, and that's to select, to feed, to render, to clear, to choose, to eat. So this covenant is made by passing between two pieces of flesh. And when you pass between two pieces of flesh, that means there's bloodshed. So just like this covenant that was made with Noah, where he said, I'm going to establish this new promise that I will never kill the earth. And this was with the earth and all the inhabitants of the earth. There was bloodshed. We got to remember now, every soul that was in the earth died, including animals, except for 8 people. There was a lot of bloodshed for that covenant. And another thing we want to look at here is that Yah gave a token. So a covenant is going to involve blood. Covenants are sealed with blood. And when something is involved with blood, there's no taking it back. You can't bleed and then we take your blood and put it in a cup and then give it back to you. You can't. Once that blood is shed, that it's permanent. Once you are cut, it's permanent. Once that flesh is cut, it's permanent. Just like a woman, once she's opened up, it's permanent. You can't undo that. All right, so let's look at that word for token. All right, so let's pull that up. And he said, and this shall be a token. That's H226, oath. That is a signal, as a flag, beacon, monument, prodigy, evidence. So this is like the same definition of the Tau. The Tau has the same definition, which is the Hebrew letter, the last Hebrew letter, the Aleph being the first and the Tau. So there's going to be a token or a sign that this covenant was made. So it's not going to be just some blood was shed and nobody knows about it or anything like that. No, everybody's going to know about it. And how everybody's going to know about it? Continue.
Verse 13. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh.
All right. So this rainbow, right, that he put in the cloud, he's putting it where everybody is going to see it. So I want everybody to see this token that I have made, this promise. So a covenant is forever. It is sealed with blood. And there's going to be a sign or token that everybody can clearly see and know that this covenant was made. In other words, there has to be witnesses. So this rainbow, he didn't put it up under a rock. He had to go to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean to see a rainbow. See, oh, there's the signal of the covenant. No, it's out in the open. So all these things, again, are symbolic of this marriage covenant. All right, finish that up to verse 17.
And Elohim said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth.
All right. And he said, when I look upon this bow, this sign of our covenant, which is forever, I will remember the everlasting covenant. So again, covenants are everlasting. That's how it was designed. Forever. That means forever, and it's forever, ever. Forever is till death do we part. Then forever, ever, ever, that's all into the new life, new heaven and new earth. So as long as you live, that's forever. All right. So let's move on. Let's go to Genesis chapter 19, Bereshit chapter 19. So this is the first covenant that's being made with the whole earth. Genesis, Bereshit chapter 19. And we're going to read 1 through 15.
All right, Genesis chapter 19 and verse 1. And there came two angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat at the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground.
Exodus, Salakia. I knew something went wrong. I'm like, wait a minute. we ain't going into Sodom and Gomorrah today. That's another class. Shema, Exodus chapter 19, Salakia.
All right, Exodus chapter 19 and verse 1. In the third month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, or Mizraim, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mountain. And Moshe went up to Elohim, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Yasharal, or Israel, you have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now, therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
All right. So covenants also have rules and regulations. You're making a promise that you're going to follow some sort of rules or regulations. So YAH is making a marriage covenant with the children of Israel, because that's the kind of covenant you make with your wife. You don't bring another woman and put them over your wife. You don't do that. Your mom ain't over your wife. Some new chick you meet ain't over your wife. Your female, your work boss or your work wife or whatever, those terms we hate using. Nobody is over your wife because you have made covenant with them. So you can't take somebody else and say, oh, well, they're equal unto you. No. This is why YAH said, and if you will obey my voice indeed, obey the rules of my house, because you are joining my house. I'm not joining your house. And keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure. All right. Now you're something valuable. If you have 50,000 wives, how's that valuable? Everybody your wife. And you're going to be above all people, for all the earth is mine. So the Most High said, I'm going to make you my wife. And you're going to be above all the people in the earth. So this is how a wife is expecting you to be treated by a husband. She's supposed to be above everybody. But there's rules, right? Tom Sheep.
Verse 6, and you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak unto the children of Yasharal.
Amen. He said, but you shall be unto me. So this the rules. A kingdom of priests, not a tribe of priests, a kingdom of priests. So this is how we are able to officiate, because our entire kingdom is full of priests. A holy nation, a holy being, Kodesh, set apart. So the men are supposed to be priests. What's your officiating? What do you do for the kingdom? Priest. And a holy nation. How are you set apart? And if you're set apart, what nation does that now put you in? Because you can be set apart and be a set apart of felons. All the felons are set apart. They can't get jobs. They can't do nothing. They can't get passports. They all been to jail. That's a set apart nation too. But that's not a holy nation. A Kodesh nation is a nation that is separate from everybody, because we don't do what everybody does. We don't do what the flesh wants me to do. We do what our father, the husband of Israel, tell us to do. So we have to be these things in order to keep the covenant. And if we don't keep the covenant, then how do we expect to be in the house? So before we as husbands can even be a husband and command your wife to keep covenant, where's she getting the example from? How is she learning to keep covenant? Best believe every time you violate one of these laws, priests that are married, your wife is looking at you and she's saying, that's not how you keep covenant. And you want me to keep covenant? Look at what you're doing. That's human nature. That's why leadership cannot operate that way. And that's why all the leaders of Yasharal, when they made mistakes, Yah chastened them in public, because you affect the people. Finish the rest of verse 6.
And Moshe came and called for the elders of verse 6. And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak unto the children of Yasharal. Verse 7. And Moshe came and called for the elders of the people and laid before their faces all these words which Yahweh commanded him.
All right. So this was a contract, a verbal contract was given. These are the terms. All right. And he went to the leaders. Just like when you go marry that woman, you go to her elder, her husband, her father. You speak to the father. If she don't got a father, you go to her elder, the uncle, somebody, grandfather. And you let it be known what you're trying to do. Because there has to be witnesses. And a woman has to have an opportunity for a man to step up for her and say, man, you a criminal. Ain't you married to this man over here? Ain't you in some other gay marriage? Or don't you got 4 wives already? How's that marriage working? Oh, you got turmoil? You want to take my niece? You want to take my daughter? Tell me how you going to make this work. Tell me how this is going to be different. That's order. And if you're not doing that, you out of order. Even YAH, the creator, still went and spoke to the elders, still gave the details. Tamshi?
Verse 8. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahweh has spoken, we will do. And Moshe returned the words of the people unto Yahweh.
All right. So now there was an I do. There go the betrothal. Now you are betrothed, Israel. That is as good as a marriage. It is protected under the same laws of marriage. We have agreed. The elders okayed it, and the people okayed it. All that you said we will do. I do. There has to be an agreement. All right, Tamshi.
Verse 9. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, lo, I come unto you in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with you, and believe you forever. And Moshe took the words of the people unto Yahweh, told the words of the people unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, go unto the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes. And be ready against the 3rd day, for the 3rd day Yahweh will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai.
All right. So again, when a covenant is being made, you don't just show up. You have to prepare yourself. This is something holy. So we had to be ready against the 3rd day. That means the men had to not have relations with their wives, because when you have relationships with your wife, there's bloodshed. So that would make you unclean. You know, and we talk about the woman. No, it's the man making unclean, not really the woman. The woman can make you unclean, but it's really the man. So you couldn't just come any kind of way, even as a husband. You couldn't just show up. You had to prepare yourself. You had to prepare yourself, cleanse yourself for something that is going to be forever. If you're getting ready to sell something or pass something along or do something, you want it in the best condition it can be in so it can last the longest. So we want our spirit to be right. We want to be free. We want to have all the holy angels around us, because when you make yourself unclean, certain angels can't be around you. So we had to carry ourselves in a certain manner. You couldn't just be however you want and we just got to accept it. No, clean yourself up. All right. So we can stop right there. That's what I wanted to go over. So there had to be some preparation right there in getting ready for this marriage. All right. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 18. Devarim chapter 18. So let's go back. So in Deuteronomy 19, a betrothal was being made for the Mosaic covenant, which is the law, statutes, and commandments, the 613, right? That covenant was then made. But even before that covenant was made, there was another covenant being made, which is after this covenant, but it was before, it was from the beginning. And that's the new covenant. But again, everything that's told in the New Testament came from the Old Testament. It wasn't nothing new in the earth, like what Ecclesiastes say. So let's go back one. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 18. And let's start this at verse 15. And we'll go through verse 22.
Deuteronomy chapter 18.
Can't hear you, bro.
Deuteronomy chapter 18. Is that better? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello?
You're really, really low, brother.
Okay. My phone is, someone just tried to call, and I think that threw the audio off.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
All right. So when you get your audio right. Much better.
Okay, praise y'all. All right, Deuteronomy 18 and 15.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yahweh, your Elohim, will raise you up unto you a prophet from the midst of you, of your brethren, like unto me. Unto him you shall hearken. Verse 16. According to all that you desired of Yahweh your Elohim in Horeb in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of Yahweh my Elohim, neither let me see this great fire any more, that I die not. And Yahweh said unto me, they have well spoken that which they have spoken, and I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto you, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him.
All right. So this is foreshadowing and prophesying that a new covenant was going to be made, and that Mashiach was going to come on the scene. And it's talking about a prophet like unto Moshe. And you have carnal brothers who say, well, Moshe was Levi, and Yahushua was Judah. Well, that's not what makes you like unto Moses. When you read, they said there was no other prophet like unto him. Every other prophet, this is in Numbers, every other prophet I speak to in a vision or a dream, but not Moses. With him I speak face to face. No other prophet spoke face to face with Yah. Period. The only prophet that spoke face to face with Yah was the one that sitting on the right hand of him, and that's Mashiach. So this new covenant was already in place because he knew that this was temporary, that it was not going to last. He bought us some time so that we didn't have to die. Finished it up through verse 22.
Verse 20. But the prophet.
You're low again, brother. You must have another call coming in.
All right, 1 second. Sorry about that. Is that any better?
Nah.
Okay, hold on. One moment.
All right, so we're at Deuteronomy chapter 18, and we're at verse 20. All right, so like I said, if you will not hearken unto Mashiach's words, which he shall speak in my name, and he came in Yah's name. That's why his name is Yahweh Shai. He's coming in Yah's name, coming in Yah's character. Yah is going to require it of him. But verse 20 says, but the prophet, which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. So we got to be careful, brothers and sisters. We back, brother?
Yeah, is my audio any better?
Perfect. So we're at verse 20, where it talks about the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. So we got to be careful with unknowingly becoming prophets, trying to speak the future. Now, if Yah said this was going to happen, you can comfortably say this is what's going to happen. Just don't add too many details. Keep it simple. Just on the day of the eclipse, we proclaimed the sign of Noah, because Yah said, look, I'm not going to give you no sign through Mashiach other than the sign of Jonah. And the sign of Jonah, you look it up in the Sanskrit, in the Assyrian records where they recorded the solar eclipse. They had a solar eclipse. What else would make a whole nation just repent all of a sudden? They were very superstitious back in the day. So they repented. And Noah gave warning to Babylon, and we are in the modern day Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, right? You have 40 days to repent. So just keep it simple. Now you start adding extra stuff. Well, the light's finna cut off or the world finna end. That's how we make mistakes. Even our own elder made mistakes like that. You can't do that. Prophecy is going to be fulfilled. But if Yah didn't tell you tomorrow at midnight, the sun go down and never come up, you can't say that. You can only say what Yah said. And that keeps you out of the false prophethood. Because when you look at Yah's prophecies and things happen, even when Mashiach did miracles, he allowed, it said in that very hour, he allowed some time for people to doubt. So all the doubters could be exposed. And then that thing happened. Same thing in Egypt. Moshe didn't just all of a sudden all these things happened. It took time to progress, to allow people to expose who they really are. All right, Tom Sheep. We're at verse 21.
Deuteronomy chapter 18 and verse 21. If you say in your heart, how shall we know the word which Yahweh has not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of Yahweh, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass, that is the thing which Yahweh has not spoken, but the prophet has spoken it presumptuously. You shall not be afraid of him.
And we got to be careful with that presumption. Again, when you take things and you put your own spin on it because you want to be great, that's when you find yourselves in problems. Your ambition will catch you in a problem. You may be very correct in your prophecy, but you want instant gratification of that prophecy. So you putting a timeline in it. Well, it's going to happen tomorrow at midnight. Really? Is that what the script said? Did Yah come to you directly in a vision or a dream and tell you specifically what happened? No, then you're being presumptuous. But this prophecy right here, I'm not being presumptuous by telling you that that person is going to come, and that person came, and that institute and brought us into our new covenant. So let's go into the new covenant. Let's go to Jeremiah 31 and 31. And this is prophecy still, because it still hasn't happened. It's being fulfilled. Jeremiah 31 and 31, and we're going to read that through 36.
Behold.
And Salakia, and a lot of people, especially a lot of religious people, they like to talk about this new covenant. Like the new covenant somehow alleviates law and order and righteousness. You can do what you want. It's all about Jesus. Well, that's not the new covenant. A lot of false prophethood in there. Let's read what it is. Tomshi.
Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah.
So who is this new covenant with? Anybody, any of the viewers, who is this new covenant with? Who is the new covenant according to Jeremiah 31 and 31? Who is it with? Is it with the world? With Esau? Is it with the Arabs? Is it with Jesus? Is it with Israel? Or is it with just believing? Who's the new covenant with? Go ahead and type in chat. If you know the answer to this and you can proclaim the answer, go ahead and answer it. Yah's chosen. All right. What else we have? Definitely Yah's chosen. The house of Judah, absolutely. That's partial. It's partial answers. You're getting close. Who is the new covenant with? Anytime you see the word and, that's clue. That is more than one. So Jeremiah chapter 31 and 31. Go ahead and read that again, and we'll ask the question one more time.
Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah.
All right. So it's just that simple, family. The new covenant is with the house of Yasharal and the house of Yahweh, Judah. So that is the new covenant. All right. Continue.
Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 32. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, says Yahweh.
All right. So this covenant is not the same as the Mosaic covenant. You know, and then even before the Mosaic covenant, which we really didn't go over, is the Abrahamic covenant of circumcision. This is different. It's a newer, greater covenant that's now being made. And the covenant in Egypt was circumcision. It was animal sacrifices and all these different things that we have to do. A lot of bloodshed, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Tom Shee.
Verse 33. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yahweh. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people.
All right, so here's another question. When is this new covenant? Is it in the past? Is it in the present? Or is it in the future? When is the new covenant? The past, the present, or the future? Remember, it's not according to this covenant that I made with their fathers. We weren't there. And I'll give you a clue. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Yasharal after those days, says Yahweh. All right, so we have one person said now. Any other takers? When is this new covenant? All right, read the next verse, verse 34.
All right. But this shall be the covenant that I will make. No, excuse me. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, says Yahweh. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more.
All right. All right. So I will remember their sin no more. So praise Yah. We had one of the sis Yahanaya. Great job. Future, Brother Yafi Yehuda. Future. Amen. When he gathers us. Now, how we know this ain't happened yet? Because we still on here teaching. I wouldn't mean to sit here till everybody know this. It'd be in your heart. Why I got to sit here on the Shabbat and teach you this? Why somebody had to teach me this? Because we're not there yet. We still got people's calling on the Lord. Don't even know the difference between Lord as in Baal and Lord as in Yahweh. It's not because people wicked. It's everybody hasn't been taught yet. Right? Everybody hasn't been taught you can't take another man's wife and make her yours. Well, did she get a divorce? Yeah, she did. Well, then it's all good. No, it's not. And we're going to get into the laws of marriage. We are in captivity, so we have certain graces that we go by. And I'm talking about as far as virginity. But at the end of the day, those same laws still apply. And all from the least unto the great, not just the teachers, not just the devout people. In his Yah forgiving our iniquity. If we forgive our iniquity, we'll be here. We'll be in the land. We'll be where he wants us to be. We're in punishment. We are a wife that was put out the house because she did not want to keep covenant, because she committed adultery. So she got the death penalty spiritually. Well, we had no spirit almost. And put out the house. But because Yah's not like a man, he ain't stone us to death. Now, how many husbands out there willing to catch their wives cheating and don't stone they behind to death if they could? Very few. Read that through verse 36. Did we read that?
I know we have 2 more to go.
Praise Yah.
So Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 35. Thus says Yahweh, which gives the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night,
Tokens.
which divides the sea.
He's giving you those tokens to let you know. You don't ever forget you belong to me. Every time you see that sunrise and you see it set and you see that moon and you see the stars and you see that rainbow, all this is tokens to remind you that you belong to me.
The stars for a light by night, which divide the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart before me, says Yahweh, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
All right. So we never cease to be a nation. We cease to be acknowledged as a nation. We lost our heritage, our culture, our land, our sovereignty, but we're still the nation of Israel. We're still the tribe of Judah. We're still here because if that was the case, we wouldn't be here right now. Nobody would know this. We wouldn't be able to repent because we wouldn't understand this. So we never stopped being a nation. We stopped being acknowledged as a nation. Just like that woman, even though you mad and you separated, you might not be dealing with her, but that's still your wife. Just because she's not acting wifely, that's still your wife. That's a covenant forever. Till death do you part. Not till she gets smart. You gonna part then? Nah, till death do you part. And what a lot of people don't want to accept is marriage is a death decree. A testament is only enforced by death. Finish it up, Op.
Did you want me to read to verse 36 or more than that?
You finished 36?
Yep.
Praise Yah. So let's move on. Let's start to get in some more details of marriage. So let's look at the beginning. Let's go to Genesis, Bereshit chapter 2. We're going to read a few verses there. So we understand covenant. We understand that it's life. We understand that it's forever. We understand that there's blood shed, which you can't take the blood back. And we understand that that first covenant was made between YAH, Bereshit, Genesis chapter 2, and we're just going to read 18 through 23.
Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 2, and verse 18. And Yahweh Elohim said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him.
All right. So that's the first thing in the garden that Yah said was not meat, that was not good, was that man being alone. So if Yah in his perfect creation is telling you it's not good for a man to be alone, how you going to preach that man supposed to be by himself? That's going against Yah. That's going against nature. Now, if you're doing it for a purpose, that's different. Everybody got different callings. But that's not so. If we all was alone and we all soldiers, then how are we going to be a nation? How are we going to make babies?
I have a question.
Yep.
So in the New Testament, we know that Paul talks about marriage, and he says it is good that some abide as I, and to the unmarried and to the you find the verse, to the unmarried and to the
It's Corinthians. Yeah, we're gonna go over that.
Oh, okay, all right. I was wondering how you would reconcile that with what Yahweh is saying here
Right.
to, because it can cause some confusion.
Well, just to simplify it, just like I do, a good moray is going to tell you when they're giving you their opinion and when they're giving you law. And he gave it to you, let you know this is not by law, this is by permission. I have permission to tell you this. This is not law. I just gave you the law. So we're going to go read that. And that's why people trip over Paul, because Paul is inspired, divinely inspired, and giving you counsel. But he makes sure to let you know the difference between his counsel and what's the law. All right, we have verse 19.
Okay, Genesis chapter 2 and verse 19. And out of the ground Yahweh Elohim formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof.
All right, so he's the master, mister. He's responsible for all these things. So when you become responsible for them and they become and they belong to you, there's a surname. They're named. They're renamed. So all these animals, everything, Adam gave them a name. So when you marry your wife, you giving her a name. You ain't taking her name. It's ridiculous. It's backwards. She take your name. That's the order.
Verse 20. And Adam gave names to all the cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helpmeet for him. And Yahweh Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahweh Elohim had taken from man made he woman, and brought her unto the man.
All right, so that right there is flesh passing between two flesh. There's a covenant of marriage being created by the fact that Adam got to get a whole rib pulled up out his flesh, right? Passing between two. How you take a rib out without coming between two pieces of flesh? So a covenant of marriage is being made. And then he's going to take that covenant of marriage and marry his wife. Tom Sheep.
Verse 23. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man.
All right, so she was taken out of man. So how is your wife being taken out of you now? How is she becoming part of you? How are you helping to shape and change her and create the new creation that she becomes when she joins with you? She's supposed to be protected. She's got to inherit something. She's got to gain something out of the situation. If you just married a woman and you just take all her stuff, what is she gaining? How is she being taken out of you? Now we know this was physical here, but spiritually, how is this woman being taken out of you? What is she taking from you? Tom Sheep.
Verse 24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, and the man and his wife, and were not ashamed.
All right. And there should be no shame. They married. You know what I'm saying? And they don't know how to do anything wicked, because whatever they do is between husband and wife. The marriage bed is undefiled. We're going to read that as well. So the man leaves his father's house and his mother, and he cleaves onto his wife. In other words, his priority is no longer, all about my father's business. Now it's about, I'm the father. I have house business. I got to tend to my own wife. I got to take care of my own body. Where I used to have to just take care of myself, my wife is part of me. I got to take care of her as well. We one flesh. So let's move on. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. And ultimately, what we have to understand, and while we go over these classes, we got to understand that this is the blueprint. This is righteousness. This is how the engineer created everything to be. And if we want the car to run smoothly, you got to run it properly. And because the adversary, the devil, is the one that's on TV with all the marketing, he's telling you how to operate this car. He said, go and put regular gas in. I know it's a Ferrari, but put regular gas in and drive it every now and then. Don't go above 30. Matter of fact, put a lot of weight in it. You know what I'm saying? Ride through this mud pit. Go off-roading in it. The car ain't going to destroy right away. He's giving you bad information, and you wondering why your alignment all messed up. As soon as you go over 80, you about to hit the wall. You're not listening to the instructions. And because if 1,000 people come to you and tell you that's how a Lamborghini or Ferrari is supposed to be driven, how are you going to know the difference? Until somebody with some information comes and say, look, this is how it's supposed to be done. So who are the people that are saying this is how it's supposed to be done? Who are the examples that we have with marriage, with husbandry? If not the Hebrews, who gonna do it? But what do we have in our communities? All these Hebrew divorces, all this Hebrew adultery, all this Hebrew fornication. So who gonna show the world how it's supposed to be done? TV showing people now how it's supposed to be done. Every time you turn on the TV, it's a mixed couple every single time. It's never, the Spanish woman with the Spanish man, the black man with they'll never allow that. They have to show you everything else other than how things were originally done. And now you got two women on TV together, two men on TV together. Tamshi?
Are we picking this up at verse 1?
Yes, sir. We're going to read verse 1 through 16. And again, this class is focused on the covenant aspect. We're not really going into all the laws pertaining to who you can marry, and who you can't marry, because we were forbidden to marry certain people. We were not allowed to marry the daughters of Canaan. Those were the daughters that we were specifically barred from marrying. We couldn't even make a covenant with them. And the reason being is because those women were matriarchal. They will cause the sons of Israel to worship a pagan god, the god of their mothers, instead of the God of their fathers. So he forbid that. And then the priest of the Levites had another specific requirement as far as who they were able to marry. So we're not really covering that. We're talking about the covenant aspect, how to have a lawful marriage and a expedient marriage. And we were also given advice in the Old Testament as far as how we're supposed to marry and stay within our tribe. So we weren't even supposed to leave outside of our tribes in order to keep the inheritance. But now once we have captivity and we spread all over the place, that's why you had Moshe had a wife that was Egyptian. You had he had several wives that were of different nations because we're being spread all over the place. But the one we were not supposed to marry is the daughters of Canaan and a woman who was worshiping an idol god. What fellowship does an idol worshiper have with a believer? So now let's go over some of these principles of marriage. So 1 Corinthians chapter 7, and we're going to read this to verse 16.
All right. Now concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman.
Yeah, it's good not to touch a woman if you're not married. Because if you're married, you touch the woman, then the chances are you're going to end up having to marry that woman because you're lust and you don't want to turn her into a whore. So it's better to refrain until the time is right. Tamshi?
Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband.
All right. So again, if you just look at the population, how many men do we have? How many women do we have? We look at prophecy. He says, I'm going to make a man more precious than fine gold. So you read between the lines there. Every man should have his own wife, and every woman should have her own husband. Tamshi?
Verse 3. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband.
All right, so let's look at what benevolence is, so there's no confusion here. All right, benevolence. Eunoia, G2133, kindness, euphemistically conjugal duty. Make love to your husband. Make love to your wife. That's due. Verse 4.
The wife has not power of her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband has not power of his own body, but the wife.
All right. So that means you have to consider one another. That don't mean that the woman is controlling her husband, because you can't have two heads. You have two heads, you got a monster. But he's supposed to consider his wife when he makes decisions, because he doesn't have the power to just live his life not considering how it affects his wife. So any decision that's going to affect your wife, regardless of that decision, you need to consult with her, because you don't have this power.
Verse 5. Defraud you not one another, one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency.
All right. So again, it's talking about marriage relations. Do not use sex as a weapon. You know, I know daughters, you know, women, they tend to be a little more emotional when it comes to sex. So, you know, if they're not feeling loved and they're not feeling appreciated, they're not turned on. But you cannot just not take care of the needs of your husband for a long time without consent, because the wife has no power over her body and the husband, etc. So you can't just say, well, I don't like the way my wife ain't cooking. She ain't doing, I ain't going to give her none of that sugar. You can't do that, because what you're doing is you're letting Satan come into your relationship, because he's going to find somebody to come here and cause more confusion.
Verse 6. But I speak this by permission and not of commandment.
All right, so there you go. Now we're getting into opinions again. He's letting you know all the laws about how you're supposed to deal with your husband and your wife. You know, if you're going to not be benevolent with your wife, let it be because of fasting and prayer. And then when you're done, come together. Now this, he said, I speak not by permission, not by commandment. Verse 7.
For I would that all men were even as myself, but every man has his proper gift of Elohim, one after this manner, and another after that.
All right, so Saul is a special vessel. YAH said, leave him alone. He's a special vessel unto me. Because any man that could be around these sisters and not have one of them, you a special vessel, bro. You a very, very special vessel. And it's also the same brother with a thorn he praying to get out of his side. Certain thorns ain't going to come out. You're going to need that woman. So he's saying with his calling of what he has. Tomshi?
Verse 8. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn.
As much as men and women argue and fight, if we could contain, we would have contained. We would cease to be here on this planet the way we fight and argue and bicker amongst each other. So ain't too many people that can contain. But if you can, hey. But if you can't contain, like most people, find you a wife, find you a husband. Some people can. That's a gift. Now, that don't mean you a whoremonger, so you take the first woman you get. Now you introducing problems into your future. Because just because somebody allow you to get it don't mean that that's supposed to be your wife or your husband.
Verse 10. And unto the married I command, yet not I, but Yahweh, let not the wife depart from her husband.
All right, so Yah commanded that. So he's being very specific, like a good teacher is supposed to do, to make sure people not taking his opinion as law. And that's what these old covenant brothers do all the time. They go to Paul when he's given some wisdom that may be wise for many people, maybe not all, but most people. And they're saying, oh, he's false. That's not the law. He's telling you when it's the law, and he's telling you when it's counsel. And furthermore, Saul was sent to the Gentiles. He's talking to Corinthians. So he's talking to Euro Gentiles and Israelites that grew up around Euro Gentiles that think they're Euro Gentiles that don't know Hebrew culture.
Verse 11, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife.
Again, not I, but YAH said this. If she leave, you can leave. You don't got to be in that man's house. He abusing you. He's not right. He's no compassion. He's an idiot. Okay, leave. But you have to remain reconciled to your husband. You made a covenant for life. YAH can handle business. He know what to do. And husband, you can't put that woman away just because she left your house. Tom Sheep.
Verse 12, but to the rest speak I, not Yahweh. If any brother has a wife that believes not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away.
Again, but to the rest speak I, not Yahweh, but this is me. This is what I'm saying. So again, this is not law on verse 12, but this is counsel from somebody that Christ specifically picked out after he died, was buried and resurrected and ascended to the Father. And this is the type of person that was chosen by Yahweh Shai. And now this brother is speaking, you might want to listen. If you have a wife and she is not, and she be pleased to dwell with you, don't put her away. Tom Sheep.
Verse 13, and the woman which has a husband that believes not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him.
All right. So how would you marry a non-believer in the first place? But look at our place of captivity. One of us might become a believer and the other one, we were already in a relationship. We already had a family together. Don't put that person away. If they're pleased to deal with you, hey, listen, I don't want to serve y'all, but I'll abide by your rules. It's really not in my heart, but I'll abide by your rules. And I'm pleased to dwell with you because you're the father of my child. You take good care of me. And y'all, furthermore, you following these commandments. This actually kind of well with me because this righteousness, but I don't really understand. I don't want to deal with it. You can't put her out. Now you can tell her these are rules in my house. We ain't doing no idol worship in this house, but you can't put her out. Tom Sheep.
Verse 14, for the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now they are holy.
All right. So that verse right there clears up a lot of stuff. So the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the believing wife and vice versa. So if they're pleased to dwell with each other, you can't put them out. But you are sanctifying. The believer sanctifies the non-believer because you are in a marriage. You are becoming one. And this is also the reason why we do not baptize children. Children are covered by the parent. Because if you had one believing parent and one non-believing parent and one couldn't sanctify the other, then the children would be unclean. Because the unclean spouse or parent would touch the child and make the child wicked. Verse 15.
But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, but Elohim has called us to peace.
All right. So now, if the unbeliever says, look, this is too much. This is burdensome to me to worship Yah and to keep his laws. You have to let that person go. You're not under bondage. Yah has called us to peace. And why is this? Verse 16.
For what knowest you, O wife, whether you shall save your husband? Or how knowest you, O man, whether you shall save your wife?
You can't even save yourself. So what makes you think you're going to save this other person? You're going to force them to be married unto you and stay with you. And they want to worship Jeff, the god of biscuits. You got to let them go. Listen, that's what you want to do. You want to go ahead. You want to keep Christmas. You want to put Christmas trees in your house. You want to celebrate Cinco de Mayo and eat pork and shrimp. All right. You want to go? Go ahead. You ain't doing it here. But that's what you want to do? Go ahead. You got to let them go. All right. So let's move on. Let's go to Hebrews 13. Abarim chapter 13. And we're just going to read 1 through 4. So, man, I know that's hard for us sometimes. We feel like we know what's better for our women. And our women want to leave and they want to go live their life and do what they want to do. And you think you saving them by forcing them to be there. And what I mean by forcing them is doing everything in your power to prevent them from leaving. Especially somebody that doesn't believe. You're not going to change anything because you can't save yourself. And you bringing curses on your family because maybe that person needs to experience what it feels like being outside of the covenant, like we did. We didn't come back to y'all because it was so great out here without the Father. Man, it's so great out here being a slave. We love it. No, we back to the Father like, yeah, this is, man, I'm going crazy out here. So your wife may need to experience that. You want to go worship the adversary, the devil? Do it out there. All right. So we're going to go to Hebrews, Abarim chapter 13, and we're just going to read 1 through 4. Got to trust Yah. What Yah put together, let no man put asunder. That means you a man, right? I hope you are. If you marrying a woman, you can't put it asunder. Either A, you will never get that woman because she ain't gonna marry you because Yah ain't put that together, or B, you can't mess it up. Now, you can do stupid stuff and suffer the consequences, but if you so stupid that you're gonna do whatever the hell you want, treat her any kind of way, and think she's gonna hang around, Yah didn't put that together. Hebrews chapter 13, and we're gonna read 1 through 4.
Verse 1. Let brotherly love continue.
So brotherly love is that man's wife. Bro, I got love for you. I would never touch your wife. I would never look at your wife. I would never let another nigga touch your wife. That's brotherly love. That, you betrothed to that, sis? All right, I liked her too, but if she agreed to marry you, let me back off.
Verse 2. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. Remember them that are in bonds as bound with them, and them which suffer adversity as being yourselves also in the body. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled.
So is marriage honorable in some? Marriage is honorable in all. It's honorable. If you're in a lawful marriage, it is honorable. Nobody can judge that. Repeat that.
Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. But whoremongers and adulterers Elohim will judge.
All right, so that's the difference. When you are married, whatever you do in your bedroom, except barring the activities that Yah says is unlawful, it is undefiled. But it makes you a whoremonger, an adulterer, if you're doing those things in a marriage bed that don't belong to you. Or a woman, or being with a woman or a man that you do not intend to make covenant with. you are now whoremongering, and you are adultering if you are sleeping with somebody else's wife, or a married woman sleeping with somebody other than her husband. Yah will judge those things. He said that's an abomination to him. All right. What verse were we going to? 4? Okay. So let's move on. Let's go to Deuteronomy 24. Devarim chapter 24. We want to repair our nation. We got to repair these marriages, man. We got to repair these households. It's extremely hard to be a single parent. It's very hard in a land that wants you to be destroyed. Us becoming a nation is us becoming a family first. We started as a family, then we became a nation. And we're going to read 1 through 4.
That's Deuteronomy 24.
Yes, sir. 1 through 4.
All right. Verse 1. When a man has taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he has found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house.
All right. So we have a situation when a man has taken a wife. All right. So you can take the wife, but that don't mean she is married. All right. So taken. Deuteronomy 24 and verse 1, the Hebrew word for taken is H3947. Lakah. Lakah. L-A-Q-A-C-H. And that's to take in the widest variety of applications: sep, bring by, carry, draw, fetch, get, enfold, mingle, place, receive, reserve. So that's to literally take that woman. All right. And then it says marry her. All right. So we look at that word for marry. It's Baal. Baal. That is to be master. And you see how our women don't like to call their husband master, but it's the same thing as mister. When you're taking a wife, the woman is agreeing to allow you to be her master, her mister. All right. Not her equal. You could be your equal. I'm your equal right now. We all equals. But if you want somebody to head you, then you are making them your mister or your master. Deuteronomy chapter 24. You have something, baby?
So people take that and try to put their own spin on the character of what a master is, because you don't lord over people, but I'm pretty sure you're going to go into that.
Well, I'm not, but that's a good topic of discussion, because that's what the Gentiles do. Ain't that what Christ established? Christ established, said, why are you lording over one another? That's what the Gentiles do. So you're not supposed to treat your wife like how the Gentiles treat each other. And we're going to get into that. But like we said earlier, like in Sirach, a wicked woman is given to what? A wicked man. Wicked wife is given to a wicked husband. All right, Tom Shee. Read
Verse
that again,
2.
verse 24. I mean, from verse 1.
Okay. When a man has taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he has found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house.
All right. So if you are married, this is the law. All right. This is how things were when we were in our land, when we had inheritances and everything like that. When you marry a woman and you have found some uncleanness in her, and it'll talk about the uncleanness. The uncleanness is adultery, or her not being a virgin when she said she was a virgin. That's considered adultery, because if you betroth to a woman and she sleep with another person, that's like adultery. And if she's supposed to be a virgin and betrothed to you, and you find out she's not, that's treated like adultery. You're supposed to give her a bill of divorcement. So there's supposed to be a contract between a husband and a wife. And there's supposed to be a written contract if that contract is now being voided. And she has to be sent out the house. Verse 2.
And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. Verse 3. And if the latter husband hate her and write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and sends her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. After that, she is defiled. For that is abomination before Yahweh, and you shall not cause the land to sin, which Yahweh Elohim gives you for an inheritance.
All right, so these are the laws of our land, just like an eye for eye, tooth for tooth. But this was not supposed to be this way. Just like there wasn't supposed to be bloodshed, like he told us in Jeremiah. He said, "Listen, I never intended for any sacrifices. You caused me to have to do this. I never wanted no blood from no bulls or no goats or nothing like that. I had to do that for y'all." And it's the same thing here with divorce. This was never my intention that you take one of my daughters and you don't like her, so you send her out the house and write her a piece of paper and then not so she passed around like some of these camp women being passed around. That's not what he intended. And this is in the land, so the land doesn't sin. This is under the Mosaic covenant. Tom Sheep? Oh, we read over that? Yeah,
we stopped at 4.
Praise Yah. So let's go to Deuteronomy 22. And we're going to read 13 through 30. So we're going over some of the laws, and then we're going to go right back into how we're supposed to conduct our marriages. Devarim chapter 22. And we're going to read 13 through 30.
All right. Verse 13. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her and give occasions of speech against her and bring up an evil name upon her and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid.
All right. So that's a big, big accusation when we had honor and when we were in our land. That's a huge stain on your household when you raising up daughters and you giving the daughter away, there's contracts being made, money being exchanged for dowries and all kind of stuff. And then you find out your daughter was playing the whore. There was death penalty around that back in the day. Not so much now. Who cares? But back in the day, that meant something. Your name meant something. Now we don't even know who we are. So who cares?
Verse 15. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hates her.
All right, so let's look at some things here. So we got things in perspective. All right. The damsel, age 5291, Na'ara, and that is a girl from infancy to adolescence. So this is talking about a child. All right. A lot of times children were given away and they were betrothed. That's why the law was you were supposed to actually go into that woman before she passes the childbearing age. And we're not going to go over that so much in this class because that's more of who you can marry and all that type of stuff. But you couldn't take a woman in her 30s and she's 50 and you never slept with her. You got to take her. You got to literally go inside of her so she has a chance to bring seed into the world before she can't have children anymore. So that lets you know that whole, you just had sex with her, that's your wife. Nah, there has to be covenant and they have to come together. There has to be bloodshed passing between two pieces of flesh. All right, Tom Sheep.
Verse 17. And lo, he has given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not your daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city.
All right. So what was supposed to happen back in the day when we were in our land and had more control and had an actual culture and a nation, a land, and all that type of stuff. When the virgin daughter was given unto the husband, right? He might have betrothed her at a certain age when she was young and said, when that girl grows up, that's going to be my wife. And she's raised up and he's, trying to take care of the arrangement when she becomes of age. Then he would sleep with her and they would put a token of virginity, a cloth under her, so that when she loses her virginity, it was supposed to leave that stain. And that stain was proof that this woman's hymen was broken and that she was an actual virgin. So the father would keep that as proof that I raised my daughter right, man. I kept her a virgin all the way into a husband. That's what every husband, father wants for their daughter. Now, it's very difficult in this day and age, but that's what we all wanted as fathers. So you couldn't just make those claims against somebody's daughter that she wasn't no virgin.
Verse 18. And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him.
So they're going to beat
shall immerse.
You're going to get whooped if you lie on this and try to defame somebody's name, because you're not just defaming her name, you're defaming the father's household, because she's not taking the husband's name until she's actually married. So you're defaming the household of the father-in-law. So he's getting whooped. If you look at that word chastise, that's beaten. And then a fine. Verse 19.
And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he has brought upon an evil name upon a virgin of Yasharal. And she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of the father's house. The men of her city shall stone her with stones that she die, because she has wrought folly in Israel, play the whore in her father's house. So shall you put away the evil from among you.
All right. So I know that, again, that's in the Mosaic law. Blood. We don't do that anymore. But back in the day in our land, we weren't having this situation often because men was going to raise their daughters properly. It's the men's fault. We have to raise our daughters properly. We have to be kings of our households. And because we didn't raise our daughters properly, they went and played the whore. And the law says there'll be no whores amongst the daughters of Judah. So that means we can't be whoring our daughters, and we can't, as daughters, be whores. So this is why they would stone the woman to death, literally. Now, again, we don't do that. We are in a grace period, because if that was the case, there'd been a lot of stoned women and stoned men. But we have to learn this principle of being chaste. And that begins with the man. It's the man going up in these women and the fathers that are raising these daughters. Tomshi?
Verse 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shall you put away the evil from among Yasharal.
All right, so we caught this adulteress in the very act. The law says we got to kill her. So who else got to be killed besides her? The man. Both of them supposed to be killed. Both of them are adulterers. Not just the adulteress, but also the man who's sleeping with a wife that belongs to another man. Both of them get put away to death. So think about if you are doing against laws of YAH that are prescribed a death penalty, consider your life right now grace period. And you need to figure out, how can I get back on the side of life? Verse 23.
If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then you shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and you shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he has humbled his neighbor's wife. So shall you put away the evil from among you.
All right. So a woman's cry is her safety. When she's crying out, that is her safety. That's showing that she does not consent. All right. So if a woman is betrothed to a husband, and it says a virgin, so let's make sure that we look at that. First of all, it's a damsel. So a damsel being a girl from infancy to adolescence, so a small young child, right? Not a woman, not a nashim or a isha, but a child, right? And it says a virgin, Bethulah, that is separate from her privacy. She still has her hymen. So this is a virgin girl. And if somebody sleep with that girl, that's like somebody sleeping with your daughter that you promised to somebody else. They supposed to stone that man to death, but they're not married. But it's treated like adultery. Tamshi?
Verse 25. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lie with her shall die. But unto the damsel you shall do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slays him, even so is this matter. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife. Because he has humbled her, he may not put her away all his days.
All right. So again, there's a key words here that we got to look at, because Hebrews will play games with these scriptures to manipulate and to justify whoredom. If a man find a damsel, again, this is a child that is a virgin. She is a virgin, literally. She's not betrothed to any other husband, and you take her virginity. That's a child, man. You got to marry that girl. She's a virgin. You done messed it up. The father will never be able to give the tokens of virginity to the husband. So there has to be consequence. He got to pay that money, and he got to marry her, and that means an inheritance got to be given to her and to whatever kids they have, and he can't put her away all the days of his life. That is a virgin young girl. We're not talking about a grown woman who done slept with 100 people, and then now you slept with her and you telling her, oh, well, I got to make you my wife because I slept. That's not the same law. Now, should you make a woman before you sleep with her, try to make her your wife? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, don't play with these laws. And it's usually on the man's side who'll try to use these laws to manipulate, to justify whoredom, or to force a woman into marrying you. That's not the law. This is a virgin young girl. Finish it up, Bob.
Verse 30. A man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirt.
All right. So you can't take your father's wife, even if he put her away. Well, man, my stepmama was fine. You can't do that. Or to discover, to sleep with your father's wife or wives. Can't do that. That's abomination under YAH. Just like it says, it's abomination to marry two sisters. That's abomination. Y'all don't like that. So again, people would try to play games, especially a lot of these Hebrews. They sleep with you, and now they got multiple wives because they had sex with you. Was there a covenant? Did you go to the father Was there an agreement? Where are the witnesses? How we know you slept with her? She pregnant? We don't know. Just because you say you slept with her. Did you? Don't add up. Hebrews be playing games. I was part of one of them. Assembly that the dude went and took his own elder's daughter that was at the assembly on a holy day. He came out and said, "This is my wife." Oh, really? Wickedness. And you're seeing a lot of the camp leaders that are doing this, because you got a brother that never really was had a hedonistic life before by choice, because he couldn't really get the attention he wanted. Then now he's got position of power. They take advantage of that. And we got to be careful with that. And we saw that King David did the same thing. He wasn't used to being a man in charge. He kept the sheep. So we got to be careful of this stuff. And everybody ain't going to be as important in this biblical timeline that that Christ will be taking out your physical flesh bloodline. Everybody ain't that important. All right, let's go to Ephesians chapter 5, and then we have one more for the conclusion. Ephesians chapter 5, and we're going to read 22 through 33. Ephesians chapter 5, and we're reading 22 through 33.
Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the master. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ or Mashiach is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Hamashiach, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives even as Hamashiach loved the assembly and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it.
So we have a couple comments here. Praise Yah. All right, Shabbat Shalom. Elder Zahar, good to see you. So we have Jeremiah 31, 33 to 33 in Horeb. Yah made covenant with us. Amen. Jeremiah 32 and 40, our everlasting covenant. And then we have the house of Yehuda, SBOCC, says Isaiah chapter 54 and 5 through 6 states, your maker is your husband. Absolutely. We are married unto Yah. That's also in Jeremiah chapter 30, I believe, right? We are married unto you. So we are married as a nation. And there's a new marriage coming. That's why we keep talking about this marriage feast and your wedding garment and all these parables with this new covenant that is going to be made. All right. Great comments, y'all. Go ahead and continue out.
Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 27, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish.
Husbands, that's your responsibility. How are you presenting your household? With a bunch of idols, a bunch of wickedness, a bunch of rebelliousness, a bunch of selfishness. What are you presenting? When you have to make your appearance before Yah, you appearing for your house. What are you presenting to Yah?
Verse 28. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loves his wife loves himself.
So you ought to love your wife as your own body. Do you want to go into the lake of fire? I don't think you want that. So why would you want your wife to go into the lake of fire? Why would you aggravate her? Or why would you push her to the point of weakness where she's so starving for love and attention that she falls victim to the adversary of the devil? Or why would you allow her to do whatever she wants, knowing she killing herself? And you're not going to say nothing because you want her to be smiley at you in the bedroom at night. That's weak. You only loving yourself. You ain't considering part of your body. That's going to reap results. That's why I say, husbands, dwell with your wives according to what? What was the word? Close. Husbands, dwell with your wives according to
knowledge.
Knowledge. Not according to how you feeling at the moment. Man, I was horny. So hey, it is what it is. Nah. According to knowledge. Look, I have knowledge that what you doing is dangerous. You can't do that. Now, humans got free will. She don't want to listen. She don't want to listen. You can't beat her up. But you are free of that guilt because you told her she in the error. She went outside. You have the order. We just read that. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto YAH. How she submit to YAH is how she submits to you. How she submits to you is how she submits to YAH, a woman of YAH. So if she's submitting to you, how's she gonna submit to you when you ain't dwelling with her in knowledge? So do you love yourself if you treating your wife in a manner that causes her not to be able to honor you the way she honors YAH? She gonna suffer fault for that too. But you gonna suffer worse fault than her. Because you're not loving your wife as to your own body. And we got to consider that. We're saying a two-wife situation, but how would you feel if your wife brought in another husband? Oh, yeah, it'd be World War III up in here. So consider that. How would she feel before you start making these decisions? How is this going to benefit my house and my nation by me making this unionship? Or is it just benefiting my loins? How is this going to affect my wife? Is she mature enough to prosper in a situation like this? Are we in the environment that can prosper in this? Just because it's lawful don't mean it's expedient. It might be lawful for you to marry one wife. That don't mean it's good for you to marry that woman. You ain't got your stuff together. This is the first woman you met. Tom Sheet?
Verse 29. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, even as the master in the church. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Hamashiach and the church. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband.
All right. So you can't be sitting here talking about my wife don't reverence me. But you ain't loving your wife like yourself, man. You smoking all the greatest. You ain't even passing the blunt. See, that might have not been Sabbath worthy. Salakia. You might be drinking the greatest wine, but you giving her the trash. You eating the best food, but you getting her McDonald's. You hanging out all day, partying, have a great time, but you leaving her stuck in the house. You ain't taking her nowhere. That's not love. And you want her to reverence you? You talking to her disrespectfully, treating her like she a Gentile. You lording over her. You not esteeming her like the queen of your kingdom. We got to consider those things. We can't just point fingers as men. Are we keeping our end of the bargain? You got to keep your end of the bargain first. Because you the head, right? You in charge, right? So you do that first. Then expect that from her. And if she don't, oh, you best believe that's Yah's daughter. If my daughter's acting up, I'm dealing with it. Not my wife. I'm going to deal with it. So it's the same thing. If our sisters are acting up, Yah gonna deal with it. And Yah know how to touch them in a way that we'll never, ever be able to touch. These women ain't repenting because they just good. They getting touched just like us. The same reason we repenting. Man, we ain't repenting from being whoremongers because we just nice guys. Yah dealt with us. So dwell with your wife according to knowledge. Let's go to the conclusion. Let's go to Matthew chapter 19. Matthew, Mattathiah, chapter 19. And we're reading 3 through 12 for the conclusion. Matthew chapter 19 and verse 3 through 12, because one thing that plagues our people is divorce. Divorce. And I tell you, marriage is not easy. I'd be sitting here and be telling you a lie if I said that my YAH sister Tafar and I have not considered divorce in our anger. We've all been there. Ain't a married person out there ain't considered that. But if you allow yourself to be carnal, you're going to get carnal results. You play silly games, you get silly rewards, right? Silly prizes. So covenant is forever. Now we do understand Christ said, Mashiach, if your eye cause you to offend, pluck it out. If your hand cause you to offend, cut it off. It's better that you enter the kingdom blind and maimed than not at all. So apply that to your marriage. You willing to cut off your hand because it's sore? You willing to pluck your eye out because you got some dirt in your eye, you had a speck in your eye? You got a sty on your eyelids, you gonna cut your eye out? Nah, you ain't that stupid because you love yourself. But you want to cut this woman off? There's only one reason for divorce, and that's adultery, period. Matthew chapter 19 for the conclusion.
Okay, Matthew chapter 19 and verse 3. The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, Is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? And he answered and said unto them, Have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh? Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore Elohim has joined together, let not man put asunder. Then they said unto him, Why did Moshe then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? He said unto them, Moshe, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffer you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so.
Okay, so is Mashiach saying it's because these women is hard-headed? Man, you know these black women, bro. You know these Hebrew women, they're lively. They're not like the Egyptians. Is that why? Why is he saying that he's allowing us to put them away? Because of hardness of man's heart. Because you so hard. I'll be damn, well, sister tried me like that. How dare she not have my food ready? How dare she not bow down at my feet? How dare she talk to me like that? She a human being. I'm not a proponent for disorder at all. And we read, but where's your patience? Go ahead, sis. You have.
Also, too, I was very listening to like when you talk about the hardness of your heart, I can't forgive her. So I can't trust that I'm gonna treat her well after this. I cannot trust that I'm not gonna physically hurt her. I can't trust that I'm not gonna, be a poor husband towards her. So in that case, it's safer to put her away.
Absolutely. Y'all, it wasn't the man thinking that. He been wanting to put her away. It's y'all thinking like, bro, you're not finna treat my daughter. You ain't finna put her. See what the men of Israel would do. Go take another 3-4 wives and put her in the corner of the room and say, I didn't cut her off. I just ain't gonna never touch her again. Just like David never touched Michal again. The hardness of hearts. So he said, rather than you abuse that woman and then this woman run off to the next brother who's trying to be compassionate, and then now we trying to stone a brother and a wife, and she lying to a brother telling she not married. And then now the brother getting stoned. He don't know what's going on. The woman getting stoned because you done pushed her. She's so desperate for love and affection. Like a human being. Any human being needs that. If that's the case, if we could be without, like I said, we'd be without. So that's not a feather in the cap of man. Because if you have a hard heart, does that sound like a circumcised heart? That sounds like a heart of stone. You ain't entering the kingdom with a heart of stone. Tomshi?
Verse 9. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, commits adultery. And whoso marries her.
Let's look at that. Whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication. What's fornication? Just sex, right? So you can't put away a woman for any reason other than she had sex with somebody else. Let's see what they're talking about here. G4202, porneia. That's the root word of porn, porneia. That's from G4203, harlotry, all right? Including adultery. So harlotry is adultery, sleeping with a man that's not your husband, and incest. Sleeping with a woman, you're sleeping with your child, a father sleeping, with his daughter, or the daughter the mother sleeping with one of the sons, or her stepson, or some foolishness like that. And harlotry is just being whorish. And then look right here, figuratively, idolatry. So you got a demonic, sick, worshiping woman that wants, or husband that wants to worship the adversary, the devil. That's a grounds for divorce. Because who knows whether you can save them? You can't save yourself. So if it's not in those situations, you cannot divorce. You know what? Yeah, we didn't, he don't look as handsome as he used to. So I'm, these young niggas trying to get at me. Nah, can't do it. My wife, she done had 4 kids. She just don't want to give it up no more. I'm done. No, it don't work that way. In sickness and health, in good time and bad. That's why there has to be witnesses in a marriage. So you can't say, well, no, there has to be some accountability. While you sitting there trying to take somebody's daughter, the men of Israel be like, what are you doing? This your wife here. What you doing? Why you just put her in the corner? What's up with her? Why you ain't taking care of her? And that's what happens in these cults, because they closed off and they got the gates. The women can't even get on the internet. Stuff like that. Our women are being tortured, passed around. And you can't blame the women all the time. Just like Bathsheba. It's, could be her fault. I don't know the whole story, because she was married. But at the end of the day, how you going to tell King David, no, this man got a song, he done killed tens of thousands. And what you think he going to do when you tell people that he tried to have sex with you? You scared for her life. Every sister can't pass. Every sister ain't going to be like Joanna. Joanna was virtuous. She said, look, I'd rather put my hands in YAH's hands than you. But every sister ain't that strong. Tomshi?
All right, Matthew chapter 19 and verse 9. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, commits adultery.
All right. And marries another. So if you marry this woman, she tried to serve you, she was good, she's everything you wanted, but it just wasn't enough for you. You matured, you outgrew each other. You can't divorce that wife and go take another wife. You can't. And that's what the men of Israel would do. Now, again, lawfully in our land, he could have took a second wife and had 2 wives. But we were so selfish that we would say, you know what? No, I don't want to split my inheritance with that woman. No, I'm just going to cut her off. I'm going to go get me another wife because it's lawful. We're going to play games with the law, right? Y'all not having that. Nah, you're going to stay with that woman. And if you do cut her off, okay, you cut her off, but don't get married again. Because now you cut her off so you can have another woman. You're committing adultery. Because that woman you are marrying after you cut off this woman is supposed to be another man's wife, not yours. Because you are barring yourself from getting married because you failed. You refuse to do things the right way. You refuse to be patient enough for a sister. Tomshi?
And whosoever marries her, which is put away, does commit adultery.
And it goes all the same way. You married her that was put away, you commit adultery. Can't do that. That's why the Hebrew leader could not have taken that wife. She got divorced. You can't do that. That's unlawful. Furthermore, you can't cause the woman to be divorced so you can take her. That's the same thing King David did. He at least he didn't do divorce. He figured, at least if the man die, I can legally take the wife. Just as bad. But again, we ain't all King David. He not going to let all of our sins pass like we that important.
Verse 10. His disciples say unto him, if the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry. But he said unto them, all men cannot receive this saying, save they to whom it is given.
All right. So this part right here, everybody not going to get. It ain't given to everybody. Everybody not given the same calling or the same situation. I knew a young brother, you know, one of our sharp young Hebrew brothers, fluent brother. Speak fluent Hebrew, man. This brother, as long as I know this brother's bride, I never seen this brother even look at a woman. And not on some, Diddy stuff. I'm talking about he just so focused on the script, so focused on YAH. He's not even looking that direction. Hey, if your hormones can handle that, more power to you. Praise YAH. That's given unto him. That ain't given to everybody. So he might receive that statement. Verse 12.
For there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men, and there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it.
Praise YAH. So some eunuchs, that's a man that got no genitals or the reproductive genitals. That would be just like somebody who got what that thing they call, we were just talking about it. Where they stick you so you can't have kids, men? Vasectomy. That would be like being a eunuch. Can't have kids. Some were born that way. They just, can't have kids. They were born that way. And when you can't have kids, your desire to do kid-making activities tends to decline by nature. And there's some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men, where, just like the in Babylon. My elder broke it down and showed me how Danielle was around the eunuchs, which implies some things. Some were made eunuchs. And then there be eunuchs which made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. Now, I don't think they are allowed to cut a member off. That would be defiling. You can't do that. It don't even belong to us. That's YAH's. But they are containing themselves for the kingdom of heaven's sake. That's a special calling. Some people are like that. Some nuns and some people like Saul who were able to do that and not get caught up in some kind of scandal. Because once you're not being released in that normal nature way, it opens the doors for all kind of demons. That's why you see these Catholic priests out here raping boys, and because they figured, oh, well, I can't sleep with no woman, but if I sleep with a little boy, it ain't that bad. Because that's what the whatchamacallit say. The Talmud say between the age of Na'ar with those little girls, the adolescents, the damsel age, there's no difference between a boy and a girl in them age. That's wickedness. Yeah, there's a big difference. So again, let's consider covenant is for life. Marriage is for life. Just like your 2 hands, your 2 feet, your 2 eyes is for life. All of us don't make it that way. Some of us lose something. But we ain't walking around town seeing a bunch of one-handed people like in what the Dutch people did, how they cut off all them slaves' hands and all. We don't see that around here. So it should be the same with divorce. We shouldn't see a bunch of people divorced all over the place. But guess what? We're in a land of captivity. We're far from our culture and we've been taught wrong. So we're in a different scenario. If they did that in the kingdom, imagine what we're doing here. So let us consider that. Let us try to repent. Let us try to hold on to whatever covenants we have, whatever covenants we made, and let's do the best we can to provide the proper example. And that covenant starts with YAH. So that's all we're going to do today. Any last questions or comments? We do got a couple comments here. Let's see. We got one sis Stephanie Hicks. Shalom, sis, to you and to your ish. It says singlehood is being perpetuated as the best thing and encouraging divorce. They got divorce parties. You see that? They got literal divorce parties where they turning up like parties, like where they're at the club and they get a cake and woo.
Yeah, and then I have that conviction because some of my clients, they'll want to book my spot
for a divorce party. Nah, I'm sorry. Right. We don't deal with that.
I actually had somebody slot. Well, I figured it out because I actually did have somebody who did book and did have that. I didn't know that, so that's what kind of prompted me like, okay, I need to handle this better.
Right.
A little bit better because I didn't realize.
Praise Yah. All right, we got another one here. Another one of the sisters. And Shabbat Shalom, sis Ariel. Good to see you. Says one of the reasons I stay in my lane in this truth. This all sounds so hard, but amen. Amen. Because trust me, whatever y'all got for you is for you. It ain't no man could put it asunder. You know, and we dealing with some extraneous situations. You know, we have, you know, some people going through institutionalizations, you know, where those are real hard situations to, you know, to live through, where you have a spouse that's separated, you know, for whatever reason, whether it's by intention or whether it's a forced separation. Those are difficult situations to deal with. And that's why we have this grace period right here. We have this grace period right here to try to get it together, to try to learn, you know, and if you've made the mistake in your life and you had a divorce and you did this or you did that and it just didn't come about, humble yourself. Humble yourself. Don't be getting no divorce parties or nothing like that. Humble yourself. Pray to the Most High. Try to remain separated for as long as you can and try to figure out, how do I get back at one? Because you don't know what y'all put together, no man put asunder. And once that woman steps out and starts to go outside the house, you can't marry that woman no more. Not lawfully. And now we know we in the land of captivity, you do whatever you want. So you might take her again, but it's going to be hella problems. Y'all does not like that. And he going to make an example. So let's all consider this and let us deal with these covenants properly. Don't make no covenant with somebody if you can't keep a covenant with YAH. You wishy-washy in that, it ain't time for you to get married because y'all ain't going to be in your marriage. So that's all we're going to do today. Again, we are Savior Word of YAH, Tabernacles of the Congregation of Yisrael, Church of Philadelphia. Oh, thy kingdom come. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can reach us on our website at saviorwordofyah.org. You can always go into our Bible section, book section, download any books. If you'd like to donate, you can come onto our website and you can donate. Hit the donate button, or you can go on YouTube and you can donate directly. And if you want to cash app us, you can cash app us at #SWordATL. So Yah's will, we will see you for Shabbat, for a Bible study Tuesday night. And if anybody has any questions, or if you're needing any counseling services or anything like that, you can definitely reach out to us in our email at saviorwordatl@gmail.com. So Yah's will, we'll see you then, and Shabbat Shalom.